afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the introduction. I'm on behalf of the company. I happen to be an alumnus of CMC Vellore, but on behalf of the company, my company is Device Healthcare IT Solutions. So my topic today is the need, benefit, and upcoming regulations for a standards compliance, basically HID system with EHR. And all right, so let me begin with the state of healthcare in India. India ranks very poorly. You've heard this time and again, but here are some figures. Maternal mortality rate, we are ranked 142. I believe we have improved a bit now in the last 2 years. Infant mortality rate, we are at 144. We are even lower than countries like Nepal and even Bangladesh. One thing to remember, if a pandemic virus or epidemic comes to India, it doesn't care if you belong to the upper strata, and with the spread of the public health network, it has actually come down to 1 month, which is a vast improvement, but still a long way to go. 1 month, a lot can happen in an epidemic. Also, there is general disbelief in health statistics. A case in example is what happened in 2010. The official malarial deaths was quoted as 1,023. A Lancet study subsequently said and proved that it could not be. It was more like 46,800, and the official data had to be corrected and said that they were off by 20 to 30 times. For improvement, what is the way we can improve? We have to go electronic. There is no two ways about it. With a population of population of 1.25 billion in 3.3 million square kilometers, you got to make things speed up. So therefore, you have to produce healthcare information in a timely manner, which is valid and reliable. And remember, an electron can travel around the world in 19 seconds. By the time I take a piece of paper and go to the entrance of this conference hall, an electron would have gone around the world with that information and come back. And to achieve accuracy and reliability, it is best if a patient's data is directly put into the system, is directly put into the system by the healthcare provider so that there is no loss in translation and no fudging going on. Hence, healthcare information technology, preferably by healthcare providers. The advantages, like I said, speed, validity, reliability. Multiple healthcare providers or doctors can access the same patient's information simultaneously from different locations. The radiologists, along with the specialists, along with the primary care doctor, can look at the same screen or the same image of a patient across different geographical locations. Paper just cannot do that. So using the power of IT, such as reminders, alerts, and trends, and having the concept of a longitudinal record of a patient, that means even possibly lifelong, is how you will bring about 21st century healthcare. If you look at the 12th five-year plan for health, it states that the building blocks of reforms in healthcare services to provide universal health coverage is the primary healthcare system, which should be strengthened to deliver preventive and curative clinical services. Preventive being also a very major part of the scope. Health services will be delivered with seamless integration between primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. So basically, they spoke about the primary health providers being the gateway to secondary and tertiary care. Yesterday, the lady from Canada, Professor Beth, also has mentioned how the primary care provides this gateway. And then you have networks of integrated services at different levels, which will be encouraged to provide continuum of care of a patient. As they go from a primary to a secondary to a tertiary care, there has to be a continuum of care and come back. So what does this mean? If you look at this diagram, what it shows you is that the patient's main point of contact with the healthcare services should be the primary care. Therefore, the primary care doctors and you, my family physicians, are the ones who will have the maximum information of a given patient. The relevant information that needs to be sent up to the secondary and tertiary level has to go up in the way of either a patient summary, a patient's longitudinal record, and referrals. So most of the information is going upwards from the primary care to the secondary to the tertiary. Of course, there is some amount of information that comes back in the way of a referral response and discharge summaries, but majority of a patient's record is at that level, which is at the primary care level. Quoting Professor Ruth, She mentioned yesterday that some countries were supposed to be most effective and successful healthcare systems in the world. She quoted UK, Denmark, and Canada. And she mentions that primary care is the mainstay and gateway for this. What she also should have noted or should be noted is that these are countries which also have a very well-developed primary care IT system. Canada has something known as the Canada Health Infoway, which is a model for the rest of the world to how is it that in a vast country you can bring about healthcare IT where the patient's record can have a continuum of care. And similarly, the UK GP IT service is well known. It should be probably recommended to AFPI that they should consider proficiency in using standards-based HIS systems with EHR as a criteria for the certification, because that has proven that if you have good primary care health IT systems, you do have effective healthcare, which is very economical. Now, what has the government of India done? The Ministry of Health has actually provided the standards to be followed whenever you're putting up a healthcare IT system. To give you an example, for example, in lab, there is a standard called LOINC, while in diagnosis, you have ICD-10. For clinical findings, you have something called SNOMED. As a next step, the government is actually going to be forming a regulatory body. It's the National E-Health Authority. The concept paper was published in March 2015. There is a body right now sitting and updating that concept paper. Supten here is actually chairing that body. And it is either to be formed by an act of parliament or it will be finally by an executive order. By 2018, it will be in existence. The role it has is it will, of course, work on the standards for healthcare IT. It will have encouragement for adoption of EHR and HIT. They will be also overlooking the exchange of data between various healthcare IT systems so that you bring about what is known as a concept of interoperability and continuum of care. It will look into the storage and meaningful aggregation of health data and then look at state and nationwide health information networks. Now, why is it we need standards in healthcare IT? This is really important for us to understand. If you look at a concept of abnormal raised body temperature, in English itself, we have various terms like fever, pyrexia, right? Febrile. If you look at all the languages, in Hindi it's bukar, in Tamil it's joram, in Malayalam they call it pani. To be able for each sign and symptom to be understood by one computer when it is sending this to another computer or another healthcare IT network, it is really going to be complex if you try and bring in all the terms in the various languages to make the meaning clear across systems. Similarly, if you look at, so the relevant system for clinical findings is something known as SNOMED CT. I will speak a little more about it. Similarly, for diagnosis, a doctor may say tuberculosis, it could say Koch's disease. While for labs, you can say fasting blood sugar or fasting blood glucose. Different terms. The computer will think they are two different terms and therefore represent two different concepts, while actually they are the same. That is why you have standards to give a code at the back end. For example, if I take SNOMED, what SNOMED does is it actually has given a concept ID for each and every sign and symptom, almost each and every sign and symptom. If there isn't one, then you can always, there's a process by which you can have a concept ID made for it. Now for fever, the concept ID is 3866610006. So when I'm sending it a concept of fever, say from Tamil Nadu, who has said that this is Jaram, to a central database in Delhi, what I'm sending across is this concept ID so that it is understood by the receiving system to mean the concept of a abnormally raised body temperature. There is also a parent and child relationship. If I know for definite that this fever is with chills, I can be more specific and say fever with chills, which has got a different concept ID. This is the importance of having standards in place so that the concept is understood what is being meant from one system to the other system when a patient's record is sent across. Now, concepts in healthcare IT for continuum of care, I have already talked of so that they can talk to each other. It is called interoperability. You should collect all the electronic data of a patient in a virtual clinical data repository. Doesn't have to exist only on one server with today's technology. They can be residing across various servers, but there's an indexing system by which you can pull all the data together so that you can have a trend of this patient's hypertension or diabetic control in place. Like that, you produce what is known as a longitudinal patient record for a given person. And then finally, you should be able to have a patient summary, which is like saying this is a health balance sheet. Today, as of today, these are his diagnoses, these are his medications, and so on. This is an example of a patient summary. The important parts being the active diagnosis, medication, allergies, last 5 orders, and if possible, last 5 vitals also recorded. It is important that at a given glance, you can have a patient's balance sheet of his health so that even if he comes unconscious, you know what is going on with this patient. And if you see at the side, there are these recent encounters. Even if they go across to different doctors, you should be able to go to each of the visits and see what happened in that visit, right? So that is the idea of interoperability and gathering something in a sort of clinical data repository, centralized manner, being able to pull his information out. So that you can have, even if he goes to different doctors, you can have his trends like this. For example, in this patient, he had high BP, it came into control, went out of control, and has got back into control. Even if he has gone to different doctors, you will be able to see this trend with interoperability. So, what has LifeTrends done? We have provided a primary care EHR platform with practice management system, which can handle your appointment billing also, so that we realize that primary care is a very important part and the gateway to the rest of healthcare, and we have therefore come up with this platform. It is intuitive, user-friendly, and comprehensive. It is according to the to the EHR standards of the Ministry of Health. It is interoperable with other standards compliant HID systems. It's built on the cloud and it's built on open source technology. It's absolutely free for primary care doctors to use, especially the youngsters. Please take this opportunity to go to the next level of 21st century healthcare. It is available for free. And we have added partner services like where you can do remote monitoring of home care and where doctors can actually make additional revenue by being part of our system and being part of these premium services that are available. So this is what the system looks like. You can have your appointment set up, you can have nursing, you can have billing, medical records, and so on and so forth. Going to the next stage, this is how you will quickly register a patient. It can be done very quickly, as you can see. And what is important is you can customize your screen. If I don't want, for example, I don't want birth history, and I don't want patient clinical alert, I tick them off, and I want all the others. So when I save it, this is what my screen looks like. And as you can see, it is very simple to be able to operate. If I want to add a diagnosis, I will just press the plus button. And therefore, when I add a diagnosis, it gives me all this is ICD-10 coded. Please note that it is already standardized. I will just put in influence, and then all the influencers will come up. I just choose the one that I want and add it to the diagnosis. Similarly, like that, the system also automatically remembers your favorites and builds up your favorites list up to 40. Your top diagnosis favorites, your top medication favorites, and so on. So the next time I want to go and choose, for example, a lab test, I can choose. It's already in my favorite list. I've already set Gram-Stain throat swab. I could also have checked ticked off urine culture and sensitivity in one go and add them all in one shot. So it is very easy to use. We also have an Android application which will be available for you all shortly. Finally, I made up this record. I did this within about 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. I made this patient's record. I've also given his medication and lab. And if I want to take a printout, I can either print a summary, I can print out the orders. And then finally, when I want to make the summary, this is what the summary will look like, right? So we made it very intuitive, very easy to use, and it automatically remembers your processes and your workflows. It is incorporated within it. You first do your history, then go to exam, then go to give a provisional diagnosis, order your tests, get your final diagnosis, do your medications. It's all on the workflow. And this is what the final summary, which can be printed out. And there's a print button at the bottom, which you can then finally give to the patient. So we have made sure that we are providing this to you for free. And we are very hopeful that young doctors out here who are between the age of 25 and 35 should be going for the system. And it is available to you to please take your step forward to come into the 21st century healthcare. All right, thank you.